We are live Wednesday night, July 24th, 2024. Once again, Mr. Valenti is missing in action. If anybody knows where Mr. Valenti is, like that great bit, Where's Waldo? Let us know and we'll find him. Now, he's somewhere on the Jersey Shore. He's in the Jersey Shore with his wife, Jen, and Jen's family, enjoying another summer vacation. They deserve it, being in the school systems and teachers. They deserve it. So we'll give Kurt another week off. Hopefully he's having some fun. He's out to dinner right now. I just got in touch with him before the show started. With that being said, I got two of my other close friends with me, and going to start with Mr. Rosen tonight. Paul, how are we doing?
All right. Good evening, guys. Good evening, everybody. Always a pleasure to be talking sports on a Wednesday night with K&K crew. Looking forward to a very, very good show with many topics that will be fun.
And my other co-host tonight, the Motor City man himself, Carson Shear, is with us. How are you doing, Carson, up in the Motor City area?
What's up, guys? How we doing? Yeah, football season's right around the corner. Looking forward to the Lions, see what happens in college football with my Spartans. Good to see you back again, Paul. And
Thank you,
yeah,
Carson.
welcome to the party, boys and girls. Let's get it.
Let's get it is right. So we got a nice little fun agenda for you all tonight. Fun one to start it off. A lot of people aren't talking about them yet, but the Olympics are coming up. So I'm going to pass it off to Mr. Rosen. He's got quick hitters style, Kurt Valenti segment style, but in the form of the Olympics. So, Paul, take it away.
All right. So, like Kenny just said, the Olympics are starting Friday, and it's a big deal. Many of the countries really want to do well. Hopefully, the United States will do well. So, my first question to you guys, I'll go Kenny, Carson. Are you going to watch the Olympics, Kenny?
Yes, absolutely.
Hey, Carson?
Yes, I will.
Yeah, I will too. I've always loved we'll get into the sports, but I love the Olympics. Maybe the summer more than the winter, but certainly the Summer Olympics. So my second question, which sport or sports will you guys be watching or looking for? Kenny?
Besides basketball, because I want to see who's going to give the USA the battle. I want to see France, how good they're going to be. I was telling Carson this on his stream ticket time the other night. Water polo. I like water polo. I think that's an underrated sport and fun to watch in the Olympics and competitive. Definitely competitive.
Yeah, very good. Carson?
Yeah, I think the swimming's always fun. Yeah, water polo, like Kenny said, the high jump, track and field events, and then basketball. Keep up to date with Team USA. That's what I'm looking forward to.
For us single guys, beach volleyball and volleyball is always fun.
Yeah, there you go. Did you see the volleyball courts, by the way? It's like right in front of the Eiffel Tower. It looks so cool.
Oh, wow. No,
I haven't.
It's right in front of the Eiffel Tower. Yeah,
wow.
That's where the beach volleyball courts are.
That's amazing. What a venue for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the track and field, and I'll ask you a question in a couple of minutes.
Real quick, Paul, a couple hellos. Graham getting back to Graham's laughing at me for the volleyball one. But he's also saying about your Lions getting back to the playoffs.
Let's
Jason
go, Graham.
Cook, my good friend Jason Cook, saying hello, good evening, gentlemen, and he's looking forward to wrestling.
Nice. Okay. Third question. Speaking of basketball, will the U.S. men's and women's basketball teams bring home the gold medal? Kenny?
Just say yes. Got to go yes.
Carson?
The women's will, but the men won't.
Ooh.
I agree with you, Carson. I totally agree. I think the women's will, and I think I'm going to predict, I think France is going to beat the United States in the final. They have a great team. If you look at the roster of the France team, I mean, literally, some of the stars in the NBA are playing on that team, and I think they're going to be extremely tough to beat and very competitive. Okay. If you have one, who was your favorite or who is your favorite Olympic athlete of all time? Kenny?
I got to go Michael Phelps just by, I don't want to go NBA star.
Mhm.
You know, I can go back to the dream team, but I got to go Michael Phelps. What he did in the Olympics, just watching him swim, how can you not go Michael Phelps?
Okay. Carson.
Yeah, Phelps is a good one. Simone Biles, Caleb Dressel, really, really, really old schools. Jim Thorpe, that guy was a
Mm,
beast. If you want to look up his accolades, he
yeah.
was unbelievable. So Jim Thorpe, I'll say, just to be different.
I'm gonna say Usain Bolt. I mean, that
Nice.
guy, what he has done in the Olympics, it's unbelievable. And I'm picturing Usain Bolt as a 6'5" wide receiver in the NFL with his speed. Could you imagine a guy that tall, that rangy, with his speed would be an incredible wide receiver?
Hmm.
Paul, let me catch up a couple
Yeah.
people answering that question. Jay Cook was agreeing, saying yes. Coach Breslin saying hello. What's up, guys? Good to always see you, Coach.
Hey, Coach.
Mine is Sugar Ray
Hey,
Leonard.
Coach.
He got to see him in the '76 Olympics in
Hmm.
Montreal. And Graham saying Usain Bolt, yes. LOL.
Good. So my last fun question to you guys is, if you could participate in the Olympics, what particular sport would you participate in? I'll start with Carson.
Wow. I think Kenny asked me this question last night on my
Did.
show. I think handball would be really fun to be a member
Wow.
of the handball team. Yeah, I think
Mhm.
I think I could maybe compete in it. Not well, but I could compete. I'll say handball.
I have a question. Is bowling isn't a Olympic sport?
No, and it's
No.
ridiculous. Breakdancing is an Olympic sport, but bowling is not. That's blasphemy. So
That's
never
Right.
understood why it's not. It makes no sense at all. But
From the man who's thrown a 300 game, that would be
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And let me, Jay Cook, getting back to the question before, Jim Thorpe, what a beast.
Mm.
I did ask this question on Carson's stream ticket time yesterday. And for me, it's water polo as the goalie, because
Oh.
the goalie, like Carson was saying, you got to tread water, but it's just a
Right.
hard. I
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
challenges. I don't want the easy way. I want to
Uh-huh.
be involved the whole game. And goalie in water polo has got to be one of the hardest, if not the hardest, goalie positions in all of sports.
Right.
And that
Right.
includes hockey goalie. You watch
Mhm.
you
Yeah.
know, just because of up there with hockey, I will say that neck and neck. But Graham saying wheelchair basketball, he participated in it for a few months in 2011. Awesome.
Nice.
Oh
Graham.
wow.
That's
Nice.
great to, yeah, wheelchair basketball for sure. Yep, I agree. There's a lot of good ones. Jody's watching. What's up, Jody?
Hey, Jody.
What would be yours, Paul?
Well, I mean, you've heard me say this many times, but as a marathon runner, I would love to be able to say I ran the Olympic marathon. So I would just say running the marathon in any Olympics would be phenomenal for me. And I don't care if I finished last in the race, as long as I finished it and completed it. And that would be
I
my
wouldn't finish
thrill.
last. I wouldn't be able to finish half of the marathon. So hats off to you for always for participating and finishing multiple marathons.
Thank
Paul.
you.
So
Thank you
hats
very
off to
much.
you.
Thanks. All right. Well, that was my quick hitter question regarding the Olympics, and I'll turn it back over to Kenny.
Great job, Paul, taking over for Mr. Valenti, who he's not kicked off the show once again. We gave him another week off vacation. It's getting close to that point, though, guys. Getting close.
Yeah.
We're joking, of course. Kurt, love you. Hope you're doing well. Hang in there. We'll see you next week. Enjoy your rest of your vacation this week at the Jersey Shore. All right, boys. So training camp started. NFL, of course, Hard Knocks off season. Us Giant fans enjoying that show. But I will say, I won't mention the name, but I've been doing this on our Giant show. Carson, I did it, and I did it with Kurt's Broncos show, who I filled in for him. A popular betting site put their power rankings up. So I have it up here on the board for everybody. And I still got the Bronco background from Kurt's show. So I've got lazy. I forgot to change that. But we'll keep the Broncos in the background for this segment, just so we have a little cheat sheet here. These are the power rankings, guys. And I figured this week, since Carson and Paul are on, Carson being the Lions fan and Paul and I being the Giant fans, we'll go over the NFC North and the NFC East rankings. And we'll see if we agree with where they're ranked or if we would change their rankings higher or lower. And I'll start at the top. We'll start with the NFC North. And Carson's Lions are ranked number 4, Carson. Do you like that ranking? Do you think it's right where it should be?
Yeah.
Too high, too low? Where do you think?
Yeah, I think it's right where it should be, and based off last year, we made it to the NFC Championship game. We came in 4th place technically. So you got the Chiefs 1, Ravens 2, 49ers 3, and then us right behind them. So I think that's a fair assessment for us. We're kind of in that neighborhood of the Bengals, Jets, and Cowboy territory. So I think that's a fair assessment for the Lions should be.
I agree, Carson. I think that's actually one of the ones I think they got right, in my opinion. The 49ers beat them last year, so they should be right behind the 49ers. Paul, what about your thoughts? Do you think that's a good ranking for the Lions at 4, or too high, too low?
No, I think they're right where they should be, Carson. I think 4, you have the 2 teams, or 4 of the teams from the AFC and NFC championship. So yeah, perfect ranking at this point.
Couple comments, and I'll get to Graham's question in a moment, but Coach Breslin's saying Broncos, nice ranking, LOL, dead last. That's why Kurt's not on tonight. We're doing this segment.
Kurt's not here.
And Coach Breslin and Graham are saying the Jets are pretty high. So yeah, Jets at 6 seem a little high. Thoughts on that real quick, Carson, before we get to the Packers? Jets high at 6. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, it's all going to come down to their offensive line. I think their defense is great. They got a top 3 running back in Breece Hall, and then we'll see what the health is of Aaron Rodgers. But it's going to come down to that O-line. So I think maybe just a tad high. I think I'd put him in the top 10, but 6 might be a stretch. I'd put him around probably 9 or 10.
I'm with you. And you agree, Paul? Same, around 9, 10?
I like where the Jets are, actually. I think they should be ranked up there. So okay. I don't have a problem with them being ranked 6th.
Okay, we'll get into that when we do the AFC East in a couple of weeks. We can debate that one. But let's go to the Packers. They are ranked number 9, Carson. Surprise last year. They beat the Cowboys in the playoffs, and they're a top 10 ranking in the offseason. Adding Josh Jacobs, nice addition. What are your thoughts on the Packers?
Yeah, I think the Packers are going to make a lot of noise this year. I said it when we were doing the playoff show last year. I said that the Green Bay Packers were going to upset the Cowboys, and they obliterated them in the first round. And they damn near almost upset the 49ers in the divisional round. So I think they're a great team. I think Jordan Love, will see what happens with his extension. I think there's a chance he could get a really nice contract in the next couple of weeks. They got Christian Watson, Jaden Reed. They just got Josh Jacobs. Their defense is improving. I think Jordan Love, man, is a really, really nice quarterback. So I like him right in the top 10. I think they're a really underrated team.
And Coach Breslin with the Jets, he's putting them after the Texans, guys, at 12. They haven't done anything yet. And he's agreeing with you, Carson, on the Packers will be in the mix. Paul, your thoughts on the Packers at 9?
Yeah, Carson summarized them pretty good. Also add the X-Man from our Giants. He's going to help in the secondary for them. But I'll tell you, I looked at this and I said, wait a minute. The Packers are 9. Why should the Cowboys, who they got their butts kicked by the Packers every which way, why should they be rated 7th over the Packers? To me, on this list, give me the Packers 7, the Eagles 8, and the Cowboys 9. That's how I would rate them at this point.
I want to hit Graham's question real quick, since before I lose it in the queue. Wants to know what do you think of Saquon Barkley not knowing he was being recorded during the phone call with the GM on Hard Knocks? I believe it, Graham. I mean, that they're doing, they don't probably know. He probably didn't know he was being recorded, I would say. I don't think they tell him, but I would say he didn't know. And, he could see he wasn't happy. I don't know if you've seen it, Carson. I know, Paul, you haven't.
No.
Have you seen the Hard Knocks at all, Carson? With the
I saw the clip of them calling Saquon and telling him to explore free agency. Yeah.
Yeah, I could tell he wasn't happy with that. So I don't know if I think he's telling the truth. I don't think he has nothing to hide, to lie that he didn't know he was being recorded. What are your thoughts, Carson? Do you think he knew?
Yeah, it's such a gray area because that's a player to GM conversation, and usually those are supposed to be private. So I can understand why he's a little upset that that was announced to the public. But I mean, you got cameras everywhere now, and any phone call can be recorded. So I'm surprised, but I'm not surprised at the same time.
Yeah. Let's get to the. Coach Breslin's putting the Packers at 6. And Graham's saying 100% agrees with what you said, Carson.
Mhm.
He puts the Packers at 6. He says exactly, Paul. Bears, Carson, are on that left-hand side of the board here at 15. The addition of Caleb Williams, Rome Odunze,
Yeah.
Keenan Allen, DeAndre Swift. Is that enough to put him to up to 15?
If Caleb Williams is what the media says he is and will be, I think that's a fair assessment. But if he has kind of an overrated, hyped up media attention craze where he doesn't live up to his potential in his rookie season, I think they could fall down a little bit. But yeah, they've got a bunch of weapons, like you said, Kenny, Roma, Dunze, Keenan Allen. They got Swift now, an improved defense, new head coach with Eberflus. So I think that's kind of an accurate statement, maybe a tad high. I would maybe put him on the right side of the column, maybe around 17, 18. But I think that's somewhat fair where they're at.
I'm going to go to Paul next.
Yeah, I agree with Carson. I mean, we're going to get into the quarterbacks on the hot seat. Out of all the rookies, I don't think any of them are on the hot seat except for Caleb Williams. There's a lot of pressure on this kid, number 1 draft pick, handed the reins right off. No quarterback battle. There's a lot of pressure on this kid, and they have surrounded him with a lot of talent, but we all know the NFL isn't college football, and it's certainly not the USC and Pac-12. So there's a lot of pressure on him, and we'll see how he is. But probably a little rich for my blood with them ranked 15th. I agree with Carson. I think maybe they should even be behind like Jacksonville or even the Chargers for that matter.
I'm flipping them with the Buccaneers. Buccaneers made the playoffs last year. Buccaneers still got Mike Evans, Godwin over there. They still got Baker Mayfield. The Bears are young on offense, and their defense was bad last year. Yeah, they improved some, but their defense is still not going to be great with the Packers and the Lions. Got to face them 2 times throughout the 4 games right there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm putting them at 20 and with a chance to move up. Coach Breslin's agreeing with me, saying too high right now. Haven't done anything. Browns made playoffs last year. I would move them up. Good friend Trevor Salzman over there at the Denver Bronco Roundup. What's up, Trevor?
Hey, Trevor.
Hope you guys are all doing well. I hope you guys are doing well too. Broncos are more in the 2026 range in his opinion. Sean Payton never won less than 7 games. Minnesota, Pittsburgh, Eagles are too low. Seattle and Buffalo too high. And then he's also saying the Giants, Commanders, if they get Ayuk, Colts could all move up in the rankings depending on different scenarios. Good friend Don Johnson, YouTube, saying hello. I think that's your buddy Carson.
Hey,
right?
Don.
What's up, Don? How you doing? Good luck tonight. How do you remember those names? He's saying, Carson.
A lot of watching football.
a lot of watching football is right. We got one more in the north, and then we're going to move to the east. Pick the pace up a little bit on the east so we can get to the rest of our agenda, and that's the Vikings. Carson. They lose Kirk Cousins. They still got Addison, they still got Hutchinson, and of course they got Justin Jefferson. Mm-hmm. They add Aaron Jones at running back, and this team with Sam Darnold at the quarterback or J.J. McCarthy is ranked 26, Carson.
Yeah, I do think that's a little low for the Vikings, only because, in my opinion, they got the best wide receiver in football in Justin Jefferson, just highest paid contract ever for a receiver. We'll see if CeeDee Lamb breaks it soon. But I think it's a little bit too low. You're talking bottom 6 team in the NFL. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think they're going to finish 4th in the NFC North, but I'd put them around probably the 18, 19, 20 range because they still got weapons around them. Aaron Jones just came there. Who knows what happens to JJ McCarthy? Jordan Addison is still a decent wide receiver. So we'll see what happens with them, but I think it's a little bit low for the Vikings.
I want to go next, give Paul the last word on the Vikings. I'm going to move them all the way up to 19. Too many weapons on offense to be ranked 26. You got arguably the best receiver in football in Justin Jefferson. And what did the Chargers do to be ranked number 19? Mm-hmm. They lost Keenan Allen. They lost Austin Eckler. They lost Michael Williams. And they're ranked 19. I flipped those 2 teams. Graham's saying he'd flip the Eagles and Jets, then bump the Jets down even more. Don's picks are the Ravens, Lions, Green Bay, San Fran are his picks. Nice. And Paul, your thoughts on the Vikings?
In my opinion, I think they're rated just about right. I'm not sold on Sam Darnold. I still don't think he's a great quarterback, regardless of the weapons that he has. And I think they're gonna go as long with him as possible. But I don't think he's gonna wind up being the quarterback this year. And they're gonna eventually go to JJ. And with rookie quarterbacks, it may not be that productive. So I think they're ranked 26 would be about where I would have them at this point this year.
Nice. We'll do the NFC East, being Coach Breslin's out there listening. Paul and I are East guys. We'll do this a little faster though, Paul, so we can get to the next portion of the NFL segment we got. So I'll flip the order. I'll go you first and then Carson in this with the NFC East, Paul. And to my surprise, the Cowboys ranked number 7 as the first NFC East team on this list. They lost some players on offense and defense and, didn't make a big splash in the offseason, yet they're ranked number 7. Paul, do you like that ranking?
No, as I just said, I mean, they get their asses kicked by the Packers. It's always a reputation of the Cowboys. I don't understand it. It's year after year after year. They have that reputation of, we're going to be great. This is the year. This is the year. No way. They shouldn't even be rated ahead of the Eagles, quite honestly. And like I said before, I think the Packers should have been ahead of them. So yeah, definitely the Cowboys are rated too high here.
Getting some laughs from Don, and Graham saying he loves the Rams, but also maybe too high. Thoughts on that real quick, Carson, and then I'll ask you that one, and then we'll get your thoughts on the Cowboys as well.
Referring to the Rams?
Yeah, we'll get your thoughts on the Rams, and then I'll go to the Cowboys.
Yeah, I think they're in a good spot. 12 on the list. Again, they made it to the wild card game last year. Lions barely beat them, but they got Puka Nacua, Kupp, Stafford if he's healthy. Kyron Williams, I think, is going to be a beast, an improved offensive line. They did lose Aaron Donald, but I think they did draft really well this year. So I agree where the Rams are, kind of in the top 15 range.
I like it, Carson. I think it's right accurate too. Maybe I move Miami into that spot and the Rams just a notch down. I think Seattle is a little high on that list, but I think the Rams are right around 12 to 14 in my opinion on who you ask. Don's saying Cowboys need a new quarterback and Rams will be good. Coach Breslin's saying he thinks the Eagles should be above them. Your thoughts on the Cowboys real quick, Carson?
Yeah, I agree with Paul. I have no idea how they're a top 10 team in football. Like Paul just said, Kurt and I say it all the time. You earn your money in the postseason, and the Cowboys have struggled immensely in the postseason these past few years. I'd probably put them around where the 14, 15, 16 range is. The Dolphins, I think, are a way better team than the Cowboys. And I think you might swap both of them. That might be a big flip-flop, but I think the Dolphins are better than the Cowboys. The Seahawks are right there with them, even the Rams. The Steelers, they make the playoffs seems like every single year with Mike Tomlin. So I would put them probably around the 14, 15, 16 range. I think they're way too high, like Paul said.
I'm right there with you guys. I'm putting them around 12 to 14 myself. And I think as much as I dislike the Eagles, I think they still should be the top team here. Gives the Commanders and Giants hope that these two teams, one overrated and one lowly ranked here. So that this site's not seeing too much love for the Eagles. I kind of like that with the addition of Saquon Barkley, Paul, and they a nice draft on paper. They're still ranked number 8 below the Cowboys, Paul. Your thoughts on the Eagles?
Yeah, I think they should be rated above the Cowboys, definitely. But I think eighth is about where I would have them right at this point. I think they took a big downward turn the last, say, month and a half of last year. They have a lot to prove. Sirianni is talk about hot seats. He's definitely a coach on the hot seat. They've got to bounce back. We'll get to his quarterback in a couple of minutes, but I think the Eagles right now are probably rated around where I would have them.
And Don saying he thinks the Bears will be better with a new coach, and that we were saying the offensive coach over there should help them for sure. Carson, thoughts on the Eagles at 8?
Yeah, I think they're right where they should be. Kenny and Paul are going to kill me, but I think Saquon Barkley now finally has an O-line that he can work with, and we know how well Saquon Barkley is, and he's running with a top 5 O-line in the Eagles in the National Football League. So you still got Jalen Hurts, who had struggles with injuries last year. You got A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, even Dallas Goedert. So I think they're probably a top 10 team, so I'll agree with where they're at 8.
I'm going to move them up a little bit because I'm not going to kill you, Carson. I'm going to agree with you. I think Saquon Barkley is going to be a big difference over there for them. I'm going to move them up to 6 and flip them with the Jets. Jets are a little too overrated, in my opinion. Eagles are definitely on my mind better than the Cowboys. And you got CeeDee Lamb holding out. A lot of question marks over there with the Cowboys. How good's their run game going to be this year? Eagles aren't going to be worrying about their run game. So give me the Eagles above the Cowboys slightly from 8 to 6, I would put them. 2 more, Paul. Let's talk about our Giants, ranked 21. Made some moves on defense. Of course, we lost Saquon Barkley, 6-win season last year, Paul. Do you think this is a good ranking for the Giants? Do you think it's a little too high, too low?
I'm shocked, actually, quite honestly. That's really surprises me at 21. Clearly, in my opinion, the Browns should have been ranked ahead of the Giants, coming off a playoff, coming off Deshaun Watson coming back. I don't think they should be above the Browns. So even the Colts, you could argue maybe they should even be below the Colts. I think it's generous. I like the ranking, but in my opinion, they should be at least maybe 23, 24 at this point.
Carson, I'm going to go next because I'm echoing Paul's words. I think the Browns and Colts. So I got the Giants at 23. Agreed with what Paul said. So that mine's quick and simple. Echo Paul's words. Same ranking there for me, around 23. Your thoughts on the Giants there, Carson?
Yeah, I'm kind of with you, Kenny. I think the Browns are going to be pretty well this year. I mean, who knows the status on Nick Chubb, but and same with Deshaun Watson. But I still think that's a really good defense that they have over there. They got the reigning coach of the year as well coming back. So I would swap. Yeah, even the Colts look. I'd say the Browns and the Colts should be a step higher than the Giants. But you guys are in the right direction, though. But it's going to come down to Daniel Jones. If Daniel Jones, he earns his $40 million contract this season and he balls out, he has a connection with Malik Neighbors, which I think could really well happen this year. Watch out for Malik Neighbors because he could definitely be in the offensive rookie of the year case if he and Daniel Jones can click on all cylinders, which I think they will. So I think for now, yeah, maybe 24, 25, but I think at the end of the season, probably a top 20 team in the NFL.
And for those who haven't watched Hard Knocks, you don't have to be a Giant fan to like it. The off season, seeing what goes on behind the scenes, I look forward to this show every Tuesday night and surprises me every week. Coach Breslin's agreeing they can block for him and make plays. And Coach, you just chimed in at the right time because we're about to bring up your Commanders. New coach, New quarterback, new era for the Commanders, Paul. They're ranked 27. Are they getting a little too low on this list, or are they about right, Paul?
No, coach, club, cover your ears. I think they're ranked about right. Like you just said, Dan Quinn coming in as a new coach. They have a lot of new players on defense. Obviously, Jalen Daniels coming in, Austin Eckler coming in. I think it may take a little bit as a rookie to get him acclimated again. You know, CJ Stroud, a CJ Stroud only comes along once every few years. So the expectation for him eventually may be great, but again, it may take a little while. So I think Washington right now is, my opinion, ranked just about where they should be.
Coach is saying he's very excited, but thinks they're in the right place for now at 27. Carson, I would move them up one spot to 26 because I really, really think this Chargers team is that overrated in this. You know, Brandon Staley was bad, but I just think they lost a lot on offense, and I could see the Chargers moving down to that 27 mark. And the Commanders moving up one spot to 26. Everybody else moving up one spot. So they're about right. What about your thoughts on the Commanders?
Yeah, I think, again, Breslin, I think you guys are in the right direction. I think Jaden Daniels has a legit shot to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. I think him and Caleb are going to battle it out for who finishes higher in the standing. Another guy I love a lot is Brian Robinson Jr. I think he and Eckler are going to split carries really nicely. You still got Terry McLaurin, who I think is a really underrated wide receiver on that offense. So I think, yeah, about 25, 26, maybe a one step higher. But again, you know, Jaden Daniels, he could ball out this season. And you guys can definitely be on the rise for sure. So I think that's a fair assessment for the Commanders.
And I'm gonna go off agenda for a second. We're gonna do a bonus team. Kurt Valenti's chiming in from the Jersey Shore. Power rankings, my ass. Easiest bet of the decade. Broncos over 5.5 wins. Peyton Worth alone is worth 4 to 6 wins a year. For those who don't know, the Broncos are on this list at 32. Carson, your thoughts on the Broncos for Kurt?
Yeah, I agree with Kurt. I think 32, calling them the worst team in the National Football League, that's a bit of a stretch. You know, the Patriots, I have no idea who Drake May is going to throw the ball to this season. I would definitely put them above the Patriots. The Panthers, their front office is an absolute mess. I'd put them above the Panthers. And then the Titans with Will Levis, I would trust Sean Payton, Javonte Williams, Cortland Sutton more than the Titans a little bit. So I think, yeah, probably in the 20s, but the last I think is a little harsh for the Broncos, Kurt.
Paul, your thoughts on the Broncos?
Yeah, I agree. 32 was a shock. Clearly better than New England, better than I would say better than the Panthers as well. So maybe 30 at this point, especially if they go with Bo Nix as their starting quarterback, or even Zach Wilson, which is not saying much, quite honestly.
I'll be very polite because I have a lot of friends besides Kurt who are Bronco fans. Graham's out there, Trevor.
Be honest.
Cody.
Be honest.
I'm going to be honest. I think they can be as high as 24 where the Raiders are. But right now, I'm going to put them in above the Cardinals, right there with the Commanders Cardinals right now, 27, 28. But I think they can get as high as the Raiders. They can get as high as second place if all goes well in their division, because the Chargers and Raiders, I don't think are going to be that good. But a couple more comments and we'll move on. Coach is saying, Kurt, I guess he saw that. I guess Kurt saw the rankings and woke up. Kurt's saying Super Bowl this year, the Bengals or Jets versus the Lions or 49ers, whoever has home field advantage in NFC. And he hopes we're doing all
Early
well.
prediction.
And we'll see us next week. You and Jen too, Kurt, and the family.
Yes.
Hope you're having a nice vacation. And hope the weather clears up for you guys the rest of the week and you guys can get some beach in. We'll see you next week for sure. Well, we'll continue this great interaction from the audience with the power rankings. We'll continue this next week. We'll do 2 other divisions next week, guys. and we'll continue to do that. We'll have Kurt next week, so we'll do the AFC West is one of the teams we'll do next week for sure. But that being said, Paul, I'm going to pass it back to you for the second half of our NFL segment, and then we're going to move on a little faster so we can get to the rest. We got about 22 minutes left in the stream.
Okay. So the next NFL segment, I'm going to call quarterbacks on the hot seat, and the name of the segment is Muy Caliente or Ice Ice Baby. I'm going to give you the name of a quarterback. You tell me, is this quarterback going to be on the hot seat this year, or he's going to be cool as ice and no problems with him? My first quarterback is one of Kurt's favorites, Lamar Jackson. So Carson, is he muy caliente this year, or is he going to be ice ice baby?
He's muy caliente. I think especially with the addition now of Derrick Henry, the read option is going to be absolutely lethal in that offense with Harbaugh. So I think Lamar is going to be just fine. He just won MVP. He'll be just fine.
Okay. Kenny?
Paul, you weren't around, I don't think, or you might have been when I did that Pocky chip challenge, that hot chip.
No, I don't think so.
It's one of the hottest chips around. Well, Lamar's muy caliente Pocky chip because this team's going to the Super Bowl this year. I do believe that with the addition of Henry and the read option, like Carson said, coordinator Todd Monken's not going to make the same mistake in this year's playoffs. Mm-hmm. And I don't care who they play. They're going to be running the ball and running the ball and running the ball, setting it up for Lamar with the option. Super Bowl team, muy caliente, Pocky chip caliente.
I wish Kurt was here, but I have a feeling I know what he would be saying. Anyway, next quarterback, speaking of Kurt, Russell Wilson. Kenny, is he on the hot seat, muy caliente or ice ice baby?
Oh, so I'm sorry. I said muy caliente. He's not on the hot seat. I got that mixed up. He's in an igloo in Alaska.
Okay.
Lamar Jackson doesn't worry about the hot seat. I got that mixed up. Russell Wilson is on the hot seat. Not Pocky chip hot, but he's on the hot seat because Justin Fields, they did pick up Justin Fields. So if Wilson struggles, they may go the younger route in Justin Fields pretty fast.
Yeah, I think if Daniel Jones has a short leash, I think the Steelers are walking a toy Yorkie with the leash that he may have on him. Carson, Russell Wilson, muy caliente or ice ice baby?
Yeah, I agree with Kenny. I think he's somewhere right in the middle on the hot seat where he's a proven veteran that can win games a little bit past his prime a little bit, but we'll see what happens when he works with Tomlin, like Kenny said, with Fields. I think guys like Najee Harris could come back to life. He's had a couple down years, Jaylen Warren, and we'll see what happens with Pickens. But yeah, I think he's kind of right in the middle. But yeah, I could totally see Fields taking his job this year.
Okay. All right. Next quarterback, our favorite playoff punching bag, Dak Prescott, Kenny. Muy caliente or ice ice baby?
Real quick, Coach Breslin's agreeing with me and on Wilson. May not last long. Go with Fields. I'm going to say caliente, but in the off season, he's going to make it through the year. But if it's another bad season for the Cowboys, meaning they don't make the playoffs or they're one and done, caliente may be on his way to ski country out there in Denver, Mr. Valenti.
Good luck with that. Carson?
Yeah, same with Kenny. I think CeeDee Lamb's bailing him out. I mean, he had a pretty good regular season, but you saw when he gets to the playoffs, he just can't perform well. So I think Jerry Jones is stuck with him. We'll see what happens if he gets a contract extension or not. But I'm kind of same with Russell Wilson, where he's a little bit better, but I think he's still kind of on the decline that CeeDee Lamb keeps bailing him out. So I'm going to say I think he's fine.
All right, next quarterback, stay in the NFC East. Jalen Hurts, Carson. Muy caliente or ice ice baby?
I'm going to say muy caliente. I know he had a little bit of a down year last year, had injuries, but I still think this is one of the best offenses in football all around. And I think there's a good chance they could get back to the NFC title game, if not the Super Bowl, if they stay healthy. So I think he'll be just fine.
Kenny?
He's going to be fine. Kenny Pickett ain't stepping in anywhere. But the Eagle fans will do their best to put the hot sauce on Jalen Hurts to make it send they'll send the hot peppers his way. But he's safe. He's safe. He ain't
Okay. Staying in the NFC, our New York Football Giants quarterback Daniel Jones. Carson, I'll let you go first.
Yeah, I think this is a make or break year for Daniel Jones. He's either going to outshine and perform and realize that you guys might have gotten a discount on Daniel Jones. It sounded crazy a year ago. Oh my gosh, you paid him $40 million. But if he stays healthy, he gets his rushing attack going. He finally has a true number one wide receiver in Malik Neighbors. We'll see what happens with even Devin Singletary, maybe get the run game going. But yeah, I think this is definitely a hot seat moment for Daniel Jones. If he doesn't perform this year, I think it might be looking for a quarterback in the first round next year.
Agree. Kenny?
There was a movie years ago, Firestarter. Brian Dable's the fire starter. Joe Shane's the fire starter. This guy is on the hottest seat out of anybody who else is on your list.
Uh-huh.
I'm talking about 3-4 weeks hot, where he's going to get benched because I can't preach it enough. You watch Hard Knocks. Giants plan A was to get a quarterback. That didn't work. They didn't want to, sell the farm in a trade for a quarterback. So they stuck with Daniel Jones, got him the playmaker. Drew Lock is a security backup. Daniel Jones gets hurt. You're in a Russell Wilson situation. You're going to pay stuck a lot of dead cap. We're 0-3. Jones on the bench the rest of the year like Garoppolo. Dable shooting fire out of his mouth. The hot seat became reality. Jones is done. Hot seat before the season's over. 3-4 weeks in.
I guess then we can say hasta la vista, baby.
Yeah.
All right. Next quarterback signs a $180 million contract with the Falcons. And then lo and behold, the first round pick of the Falcons, Michael Penix Jr. So is Kirk Cousins muy caliente or ice, ice baby? Kenny?
That's tough. I don't think consider hot seat because Penix is ready. I don't think Cousins going to lose his job because of performance. But Cousins may get traded, so that's kind of like, I don't know if that's a caliente or not. Would you consider it caliente on a trade like off season, Paul? Or
with that contract, that's a tough nugget to try and trade, though.
If the Giants need a quarterback, Cousins could be, in the wings instead. Depending on where the Giants are picking, you might not be able to get a top quarterback in the draft. Broncos may need a quarterback. There's other teams that may need quarterbacks. Kirk Cousins is affordable, not much more than Daniel Jones. So you can afford that. But I would just say, thrown that in general, I would say yes if you're considering caliente a trade.
The only other thing is Daniel Jones is 26. Kirk Cousins is what, 35 or somewhere in that range. So he's a lot older. Anyway, Carson, Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, again, same with Kenny. It's a really weird situation because they took Penix. So I think that's obviously their future plan. But I think Kirk's still a great quarterback. He's got a really good offensive line now with the Falcons. We'll see what happens. He can make Drake London a star this year, like he did with Justin Jefferson. And they got Bijan Robinson, who I think is a top 3 running back in the NFL. So
Kyle Pitts as well.
Yeah, Kyle Pitts as well. He can come along as well. So I think he's safe. But again, it's a weird situation in Atlanta, but I think he'll be fine.
Okay. Last 2 quarterbacks, Bryce Young, Panthers. Carson.
I think he'll be fine given the situation he was put in. I mean, I don't think there's another quarterback that could have gotten put in a worse spot than Bryce did last year. So I think he still has talent. We'll see what happens. I mean, they did draft Xavier Legette. That could be supposedly he could be the next Deebo Samuel. If you watch his college tape, the guy's electric. So Xavier Legette, see what happens with Chuba Hubbard. They still got a couple decent players on defense. So I think Bryce Young, yeah, I'm going to say on the hot seat a little bit, but they're not going to let him go. He was the #1 draft pick. I think he'll at least finish off his rookie contract as a starter all 4 years.
Okay, Kenny?
I agree with Carson. I'm gonna say it's, if I had to compare it to like a pepper, like a jalapeno pepper. Some people think they're hot. A lot of people don't. It's a milder hot, but it would not surprise me if he really had like a Zach Wilson type year, that they maybe look, if they're picking #1 or #2 next year, they may look to get a Shedeur Sanders or Carson Beck with the new coach over there.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree with you guys. And last quarterback, Kyler Murray, the Cardinals. Kenny?
Another one that I consider like a trade, so like another like jalapeno level hot. I think if the Cardinals have another bad year, they may look to try and get some, picks for Kyler and really rebuild this team from the quarterback up with some depth at draft picks, with Marvin Harrison now as their future wide receiver, #1.
Carson?
Yeah, I'm going to buy Kyler stock here. I think he's muy caliente. Again, injury prone last year, getting back healthy. Like Kenny said, Marvin Harrison's going to be a difference maker. James Conner and Trey Benson, that's going to be a good 1-2 punch on their running game this year. And their defense is slowly coming along. So I think Kyler Murray, he could definitely come back to life this year. So I'm going to say caliente on him.
Nice. Okay. Any rookie quarterbacks drafted in the first round? I mentioned Caleb Williams. I think maybe muy caliente because of the pressure. Any others that were drafted in the first round that you think might be muy caliente or ice baby?
Hate to say it, guys. Bo Nix.
Yeah.
Reason is the site that we just had him ranked 32. They finished dead last.
Yeah.
That's going to mean not just Bo Nix, that's going to mean be bad for Sean Payton as well. And if you move on from Sean Payton, you're going to move on from the quarterback too, with new people coming in. So you cannot be dead last. That's why I would think him. But other than that, I think everybody's safe. And again, jalapeno caliente.
Right. All right. That wraps up my muy caliente ice baby segment.
Nice ball. Good job.
Thanks.
Good job.
Thank you.
Looking at the time, you guys want to do, because I don't know if we'll get to both. You guys want to do baseball or college football?
I say let's do college football.
Okay. Sure.
Want to do college football?
Yeah.
All right, well, you know what? Rapid fire, and then next week we got the trade deadline coming up. Carson, you're a Tiger fan. You think quick rapid fire? First question: buyer or seller? Do you think at the deadline?
Wow, I hate to say it, but I think we're going to trade Skubal. So I think we're going to be a seller at the deadline.
Okay, and then I will go next because my wish list was Tariq Skubal. And I think it's going to cost Carson. It's going to cost Chase Hampton, our #1 pitching prospect.
Yeah.
And or Spencer Jones, one of our top outfielders. This guy's got a sub-3 ERA, under 2.5 ERA. He's Cy Young candidate, favorite in my opinion. I think it's going to cost a boatload, and if you're the Yankees, you got to do it. So get me Tariq Skubal on top of my wish list, and then along with I need a bat, so I would take like an Elias Diaz from the Rockies because Trevino just got hurt, our catcher. So nice hitting catcher would be my wish list. Any wish list, Carson, that you would want in return? A boatload like the Yankees would give you?
Yeah, there's talks that we might trade him to Baltimore. Baltimore, I think, is in a World Series window. They might give us a crazy amount of prospects. So I think
Jackson Holliday's over there.
Yeah, Jackson Holiday.
You're not getting Jackson Holiday?
or the Orioles. I mean, I don't think they're going to get rid of Jackson Holiday, but I mean, if that would be awesome if we're going to deal Skubal, because I definitely want a lot for him because I think he's the next Verlander. So,
and then I'm sorry if I'm the Tigers GM, I hang up the phone on the Orioles. I'm giving you a Cy Young guy. You got to give me your #1 prospect. Sorry, simple. That's simple. So I hang up the phone quick with the Orioles if they don't want to give up Holiday. Paul, quick wish list for the Mets, and then we'll wrap up with college football.
Yeah, I know you mentioned him as a Yankee or a potential Yankee, but the Mets played the Marlins last weekend. Tanner Scott has fantastic stuff. The Mets bullpen is in shambles. They need relief pitchers. He would be a perfect setup or a good lefty. Tanner Scott would be someone I'd wish for. They also need, in my opinion, another spare outfielder. Jesse Winker, who actually torments the Mets a lot and Mets fans. He would be a perfect fourth, fifth outfielder or DH from Washington. It's not a superstar, but just a guy that could play every third, fourth day. And I was reading something about the Blue Jays may get rid of some pitchers and let go of some of their players. Kid that pitched for the Mets a couple of years ago, Chris Bassett. I'd take him back. They probably wouldn't want that much for him. And he's pitched in New York, was successful with the Mets. I think he'd fit in. So those three guys would be players I would see the Mets being a buyer at the trade deadline for.
Great. We'll do more. We'll do a lot of baseball next week because it'll be the day after the deadline. So we'll know where the teams stand, our teams, like with additions, subtractions, and we'll go from there. Next week we'll do more. Got about 5 to 6 minutes left. Why don't we get into some college football? Carson, last week Paul and I did. We called it Week 0 K&K's preview. So
Nice.
we did Notre Dame last week. Being Paul was on with us, we just covered the one independent, and we both predicted them going to the playoffs. I got them as an early exit in the playoffs, and Paul, I think you did as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think first round.
Yeah. So we both have them going to the playoffs. This week we're going to go Week 1. You're with us tonight, Carson, Michigan State alum, Big Ten. We're going to break it down a little bit, just some quick questions, and then we're going to have our major, our main college preview show before the season starts. But just a little taste. We're going to get a little Big Ten, couple appetizer questions that you got for us.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, so Big Ten, obviously they expanded their conference this offseason. 4 new teams. You got Oregon, USC, Washington, and UCLA. It's going to be interesting to see how that works out. But I'm going to give you guys just kind of a couple basic questions, maybe who you guys got winning the Big Ten conference this season, and then a sleeper team and a disappointing team. So 3 teams I'll ask you guys for. I'm looking at FanDuel right now. These are the top 5 teams to win the Big Ten. Ohio State's the favorite. Then you got Oregon right behind them, Penn State, Michigan, and USC. So those are the top 5 to win the Big Ten. And then Michigan State's all the way down at the bottom. I think they have the 4th worst odds. So we'll see what happens with them. But really quickly about my Spartans, we'll see what happens with them. We got a new coach, Jonathan Smith, coming from Oregon State. I do like that hire a lot. It's unfortunate the whole thing that happened with Mel Tucker, but we got Jonathan Smith now. We're going to move on with him. We got Aiden Childs, who came over from Oregon State, so he's going to be our quarterback this year. Still a long way to go, but I think definitely within the next 4 to 5 years, I expect to make the playoff for Michigan State and Jonathan Smith. So we'll see what happens. I think Vegas has the over-under at like 6 wins for the Spartans, so a bowl game or not. So I'll say, we'll hit a bowl game, but we'll see what happens. This team still has a miles away to go. But Michigan State's going to be interesting this year. But give me a prediction, guys, for who you think's going to win the Big Ten, and then maybe a disappointing team from the Big Ten conference. I think Oregon's going to win the Big Ten. I think they're just way too stacked. You get either them or Ohio State. I think this is Oregon's time, though, to shine. I love their coaching staff. Got a lot of returning guys coming back. So I'm going to say Oregon is my winner in the Big Ten. And then a sleeper team, I'm going to go Iowa. Iowa always has a great defense. If they could just finally figure out an offense, they could really climb the rankings. So I'll say Iowa as my sleeper team. So, Paul, give me your winner prediction and then a sleeper team in the Big Ten.
I'm going to give you Ohio State as the champ. I know they have a new quarterback, but I still think they have a lot of talent surrounding the rest of the team. And I think they're going to be really chomping at the bit, especially after Michigan's win last year for the national championship. My disappointing team is going to be Michigan. I think with all the graduates that they lost, losing Coach Harbaugh. I think they're going to take a step down. That doesn't mean they're going to be, 2-10, but I think after winning the championship, I think it's sort of going to be all right. Maybe we take a step back a little bit. Maybe they'll win 8-9 games, but I don't think they may have the dominance as they had the last few years. And my sleeper team, I'm going to say Nebraska
Nice.
as my sleeper team.
Love it. Kenny, give me your three: winner, sleeper, and disappointment.
Okay, I'll go. Coach Breslin's going Ohio State as the winner, Rutgers as the sleeper.
Nice.
It's a 1-1A. I'll flip the coin 10 times. Oregon over Ohio State. Oregon's beaten Ohio State before, so transitioning into the Pac-12, into the Big Ten from Pac-12, I think they'll be fine. The new quarterback transferring, Gabriel coming over, I think is going to be taken over nicely for Bo Nix. I don't think they're going to lose a beat. Disappointing team, USC. I think this team is going to be just the opposite of Oregon. Not going to be able to convert into the Big Ten the first year. They're going to struggle. They're going to lose to teams that they're supposed to beat. You're looking at maybe a team that is going to be fighting for a playoff berth. That's how disappointing they're going to be this year. Sleeper's going to be Wisconsin. They're getting my guy, Tyler Van Dyke from Miami, transferred over there. I love Luke Fickell. He gets starting to get his players in now. I think this could be a sleeper team fighting for an outside chance at the playoffs this year if some of those other teams are disappointments. And I will go out a bold prediction. Ryan Day better make it to the national championship this year with this team, or he's gone.
Nice.
Penn State's coach's disappointment. He doesn't like the coach.
Yeah. Interesting. Yes, those are my quick little hitters on the Big Ten Conference. Should be interesting how that expands, but especially with the college football playoff expanding and all these conferences expanding, I think they had to do it because there's just so many good teams now that could make the top 12. So it's my kind of little mini Big Ten segment.
Nice. That's what we wanted to do here. Little mini segments.
Good job, Carson.
Until we get our focus on the one maybe like around the horn debatable type show that we do on college football. But great job, Carson. Great job, Paul. Next week we'll get into SEC. Mr. Valenti will be back. Maybe we'll do SEC next week with Mr. Valenti. He can break down the SEC for us and with their new additions as well. With that being said, we're up on the hour, so I think it's time for some closing thoughts, fellas. I'll start with Paul.
Thank you, Kenny. Great job, guys, as usual. Always a pleasure talking sports on Wednesday night with you guys. We miss Kurt. We're glad he's having a good time on vacation. We'll see him next week. Thanks, everybody out there. Beautiful questions, wonderful responses. We appreciate everything that you guys do for us, and it was always a pleasure to be with you.
Final comments coming in from the audience before I get to Carson. Coach Breslin, should be so much more fun this year. Hopefully less guys will choose not to play. With 12 teams in the playoffs now, we might see a lot of players not opting out. Our good friends Michael Ronquillo and that PA Scratcher guy saying hello to all. Thanks, guys, for watching. PA's giving us the clap. So I just want to I'm going to get Carson to get the final word tonight. I just want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. No Denver Broncos show tonight. We did one on Sunday. Carson, the floor is yours, and please tell us where you're going to be in about 2 minutes after our stream.
Yeah, thanks for watching the show, guys. Appreciate all the viewers engaging, interacting with me, Kenny and Paul. We really appreciate you guys. But yeah, we'll be live in about 5 minutes on my separate channel, Ticket Time Live, all casino content related stuff. So if you guys like that kind of thing, we'll be live probably in about 10 minutes over there. But yeah, man, looking forward to college football, and great show as always, guys. And we'll see you guys next week.
And guys, if you like sports, which you do, always Carson's got the Carson Shear Show, and Carson always in his chat does talk sports too. So go hang out with Carson, even if casino isn't your number one thing. Carson will chat about sports, food, anything you want to talk about. So go check him out. Ticket Time on in about 2 minutes after us. Have a good night.